If you find yourself in a push-pull cycle where power struggles are happening on a regular basis and you're getting pushback for the simplest tasks in your home, this video is for you. I'm Rebecca Giannini. I'm a parenting and relationship coach, and this is my group. I go live every single week on Mondays at 5:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Like I said, tonight we're talking about power struggles, what's going on when you're having a power struggle and why it happens and what you can do about it. So the power struggle happens when our ego is involved. And everybody has an ego. An ego in itself isn't necessarily a bad thing. The problem is when our ego gets in the way of relationships. So our ego is really our sense of self and our sense of dignity, right? And so what happens is when we are in relationship with another person, for the purposes of this video, I'm going to be focusing on the parent-child relationship, but this is also applicable to other relationships, partner-to-partner relationship, parent, sibling-to-sibling, friendships, whatever. But what happens in a power struggle is both people are working hard to protect their sense of dignity and to protect their ego. So something happens that makes that feel like it's under attack. So, you walk into the room and your kids are on their phones or they're on their iPads or whatever, and you say, "You're supposed to be doing your homework. Turn off your media right now." Well, this wouldn't feel good if somebody walked into your room and told you, "Get off your computer. You're not supposed to be doing such and such. Do such and such right now." You'd probably have some sense of, "Hold on a second, don't talk to me like that." And kids are no different. They have an ego and they have a sense of dignity that they're trying to protect. And so often parents are stepping on that sense of dignity and expecting immediate obedience. And it creates this push-pull dynamic where both parent and child are digging in their heels trying to protect their ego. Once that parent has issued that command, it feels like, hey, if I let them step all over me, then I'm losing control, or that I am showing them I'm weak. So once a parent issues this command, the child is going to feel like they need to protect their sense of dignity. And so they're going to engage in what I call protest behaviors. And this is something that they do to protect that sense of dignity. They might drag their feet. They might flat out say no. They might stall. They might use all sorts of tactics. They might, throw out, "Well, you told me this. Well, this and this." They might bargain. So they're going to engage in these protest behaviors and they're dragging their heels. You're gonna see those protest behaviors, probably perceive them as disrespect rather than protection of their own ego. And then you're going to feel like you need to double down. You're going to dig your heels in, and it's just going to escalate and escalate and escalate until somebody breaks, till somebody gives in. A lot of times there's going to be yelling involved, shaming, punishments, all sorts of things. And both people, in order to protect their ego, are escalating their behavior and their protest behaviors in order to protect themselves. So what we want, well, I'll continue with that in a minute, but why this is happening is actually really important here. Oftentimes, this stems from this idea that I can't be wrong, or I can't give in, or I can't lose. So there's sort of this idea that the ideal outcome is somebody losing and somebody winning. And this is really problematic if you want to have healthy relationships. Healthy relationships aren't about winning and losing. Healthy relationships are about compromise, but not the compromise where you lose and I lose, the kind of compromise where we find a win-win. We want to create win-win dynamics in our relationships so that nobody feels like their ego or their sense of dignity is under attack when we're problem solving. We want to be able to problem solve in a way that protects the other person's dignity, that protects the other person's autonomy. And we can't do this when what was modeled for us was win-lose. And that was modeled for us in everywhere, in our relationships at home, on the TV screen, all sorts of places, this win-lose dynamic was modeled for us. And so it doesn't come naturally for us to go for win-win. But win-win dynamics is absolutely where it's at. Win-win is where we learn to honor each other's dignity, honor each other's autonomy, and look to be able to meet the needs of the other person in the relationship. Now, you might say that's a pretty tall order for a child, and you're right. But when it's consistently modeled for them, you would be amazed at what they're capable of picking up really, really quickly. So one of the ways that we do this is we create a sense of safety around the idea of being wrong. For some people, they have to sort of fight to the death to protect themselves from being wrong or being weak or being the one who gives in. And so this is especially true with kids who are really smart and oftentimes kids who are neurodivergent. And it happens to a couple of other people too. But if you have a neurodivergent child or a highly sensitive child or just a really smart child, this dynamic gets exacerbated. So you want to pay even closer attention to any situation where it feels like you're violating their autonomy or violating that sense of dignity they have. We want to create a sense of safety around wrongness and a sense of safety about making mistakes. Because when we have a sense of safety around wrongness or a sense of safety around needing to make a change or needing to make a shift or not knowing, it creates this safety to explore solutions that are actually win-win. The other thing we do is we learn to recognize our ego as something that's helping us, something that shows us that that there's an issue in the way that we're communicating. And sometimes that issue is within ourselves. Like, hey, maybe I have a really strong trigger around respect and obedience because in a family growing up, we didn't have a lot of autonomy. Maybe it means that maybe if you have a really strong ego, it means that you didn't feel heard and you have a fierce need to protect yourself. It could mean a lot of things, but usually there are childhood wounds around respect and autonomy at play when you find yourself going from 0 to 60 in power struggles. If you want to learn more and you want to actually heal the dynamic so that the power struggles just aren't present anymore and that you're able to communicate with your kids or with your partner in a way that honors everybody's autonomy and creates a sense of safety around compromise and getting everybody's needs met, put next steps in the comments and we'll get you some information to get you started on the next steps to healing this power struggle dynamic that's currently going on in your family. If you have any questions, make sure you put them for me in the comments and I will get back to them as soon as I can. Otherwise, I will see you next week on Monday, 5:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Take care of yourself and be gentle to yourself until then. All right, see you in the comments.